Good evening. The time is 7:01 p.m. and I would like to call to order the Monday, November 11th meeting of the Southampton County School Board. We have 8 of our 9 members present, so we do have a quorum. The first thing that we'd like to do tonight is to recognize any veterans who are present tonight. Do we have any veterans in the building? Thank you. So on behalf of the entire Southampton County School Board, I do want to thank you for your service to our country. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I do want to add 2 items to the agenda tonight. Under number 6, action items, I would like to add an item F. That's the janitorial service contract, would be item F. And under information items, which is number 7, I would like to add item F, which is the Southampton High School football team performance. Is there another board member who needs to add an item to the agenda tonight?
Yes, please. First, if I may, I would like to, unless you're going to recognize our new board member that was elected.
No, I'm going to do it later.
Okay. Then the closed session portion of the agenda, Title IX concerns.
Okay.
And two formatted concerns, one about the personnel agenda and one about the student discipline report.
Okay, so under closed session, you're adding the format.
A Title IX concern, and then 2 formatting concerns, personnel agenda and the student discipline report. And then in open session under I'd like to add a recognition of a former student.
We usually don't do personal recognitions. Thank you. So we will not add that item to the agenda. So do we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
We have a motion by Ms. Lane.
Second.
A second by Mr. Rogers. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The minutes of our October 14th meeting were included in our board documents. I do have one correction to those minutes. We accepted the bid for the parent center, but we did not accept the bid for the health resource center because there were no bids to accept. So I did note, please note that we accepted the bid for the parent resource center, but no bids were received for the health resource center. Are there any other corrections or additions to the minutes?
I may be looking at the wrong thing, but I don't see anything about the discussion we had concerning HR updates.
Okay, so would you please note that we discussed having an HR update?
together a schedule of those.
We agreed at our last meeting by consensus that we would do those quarterly, and it would be at the time that the superintendent deems we will do that. So the first one we will receive will be in January. So we've noted 2 corrections to the minutes, that discussion of an HR report, and that the bid for the parent center was accepted. Are there any other corrections to the minutes? And then do we have a motion to approve the minutes as amended? We have a motion by Mr. Smith, a second by Ms. Lane. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Have 1 no and 7 yeses. We're now down to item 3 on the agenda, which is recognitions. Our board believes in and supports celebrating student success. The Students of the Month program is one way that our division recognizes students for their academic performance, their positive character trait demonstrations, and for their extracurricular activity performance. So at this time, I'll call on Dr. Shannon to do the recognition of Students of the Month, and then we'll go back and do the school board recognition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tonight we want to celebrate our exceptional students who have gone above and beyond by displaying admirable character traits and outstanding academics. These students have shown how hard work, dedication, perseverance, and positive character development can impact the school's culture and educational quality. Tonight I'm going to ask our principals to come to the podium and recognize the students from their schools who are their students of the month. We'll start with Devonta Gary, Capron Elementary School.
Good afternoon, everyone. So first, I would like to recognize Raylan Dowdy. He is a 5th grade student at Capron Elementary School. Ms. McDonald nominated Raylan because he demonstrates great leadership skills and is always on task. He tries his best and asks questions if needed, and he is an excellent student and always demonstrates his raw expectations. Raylan Dowdy, please. Next, we have Deja Joyner. Deja is a 3rd grade student at Capron Elementary School. She was nominated by her teacher, Dr. Artis. Dr. Artis states that Deja is consistent with following the raw expectations for Capron Elementary School. Academically, Deja participates in instructions, asks questions, and uses math strategies. She is also a leader and a role model for her peers. Lastly, Deja is very responsible and never complains. Tonight, Deja Joyner. And I was looking around because she was ill today. Thank you.
Susan Fowler from Heron Elementary School. Ms. Fowler.
Good evening, everyone. I'm excited tonight to introduce you to 2 of our outstanding Meharon Eagles. I'm going to start off with my first fella. His name is Isaac Worth. Isaac, can you come on up? Okay. Isaac is a 3rd grader at Meharon. His teacher, Ms. Brownfield, nominated him for this award for being kind, hardworking, and respectful. Isaac is a friend to everyone and enjoys helping others. Great job, Isaac.
Yeah.
Next for Meharon, representing Meharon, is also another 3rd grader, Tucker Brownfield. right, so Tucker here is another third grader at Meharon. His teacher, Ms. Crawford, nominated him for always working hard, being kind, and honest. Tucker is a wonderful example of our SOAR motto. Tucker Brown.
Next, we have Nottoway Elementary School, and Mrs. Fowler will speak on behalf of Mrs. Street.
Thank you, thank you. All right, so next I got to read a little bit about our Cougar friends here. First, Joshua Smith. Is Joshua here? So Joshua regularly looks out for other students, assisting them, making sure they have a partner, encouraging them, and being a kind friend. He is an exemplary student who works hard in class. He is also polite and cheerful. He always brings a smile to my face, and that's from his teacher. Who is your teacher? Miss who? Miss Daniels. So his teacher, Miss Daniels, so that's a great job. All right, next from Nottoway is Tavares Hilliard. This is Tavares, and it says here that Tavares is a big helper in our classroom and loves to make new friends. He follows our classroom expectations without needing redirections. He comes into class each day smiling and ready to start his day. Way to go, Thank you.
All right, next we have Mr. Paul Key, representing Riverdale Elementary School.
Good evening, Dr. Shannon, Dr. Goodwin, and members of the board. We're here to recognize two great Riverdale Cardinals. Can I have Vestina Hart first? Vestina was nominated by her teacher because she is a respectful, hard worker, and always willing to assist her classmates. And the teacher also says she's always running errands and helping pass out paper. She completes all her class assignments and takes pride in her work. Congratulations. Next, may I have Bo Turner. Bo Turner is in our fourth grade. He was nominated by his teacher, Ms. Taylor. Bo has a great attitude towards learning. He accepts feedback and works on his errors. Bo takes the time to review and ensure his understanding by participating and asking questions. Bo is attentive, respectful, and well-liked by classmates. Congratulations, Bo.
Thank you, Mr. Key. Next we have Southampton Middle School, Dr. Garfield, Ms. Patricia Jackson, and Ms. Jasmine Galloway.
Good evening, Dr. Goodwin. Good evening, Dr. Shannon, members of the board. How y'all doing this evening?
We appreciate you informing us.
All right, first we have Miss Blair Jones from 6th grade. Blair is an honor roll student who has perfect attendance. She is always following directions set forth by her teachers, and she always has a very pleasant disposition daily. I don't think she made it this evening. And then our next student is Mr. Ethan Flight. But they were excited about this. You can tell by the pictures. Ethan is always a hardworking student who is always polite with everyone. He is willing to help in his fellow classmates and always wants to give a helping hand to his teachers.
Good evening, Dr. Goodwin, Dr. Shannon, board members, and all the family and friends of Southampton County. It is my pleasure to introduce two 7th grade students who have been chosen by their teachers as Student of the Month. And the very first student is Nyla Gray. Now, when I asked teachers to tell me something about Nyla, they told me that she's smart, she's energetic, she's very compliant with teachers, always does what she's asked. She's helpful to teachers and learners. And the energetic part comes in. Nyla is a cheerleader, and she's also one of our student ambassadors. When I asked her today, I said, Nyla, what do you want me to tell the people about you? She just gave me this big old smile. So congratulations, Nyla. Our second student is Jackson Howard. When I asked his teachers to tell me something about him, they said that he's an excellent student, he's dedicated to learning, he's an honor student, and he's also a member of the baseball team. So you remember this name because you might see him one of these days playing in the World Series. Jackson Howard.
Good evening, Dr. Goodwin, board members, Dr. Shannon, and the community at large. It is my distinct pleasure to present the Shining Scholars of the class of 2029. These scholars exemplify the character traits of good citizenship and academic success. First is Tina Matthews. Mrs. Peace, Tiana, language arts teacher, states that she settles for no less than her very best in her schoolwork. She is a diligent worker who wants to understand the content so that she can be successful. She is respectful to her teachers and a helpful classmate. So this afternoon, we salute this scholar of class of 2029. Woo! Tiana Matthews, thank you. Elijah Crawford. Elijah is a respectful student who always has a smile on his face. He works hard to be successful, putting forth 100% effort. Mrs. P say he is a role model student, so we salute tonight Elijah Crawford. Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Jafar Baraka, principal of Southampton High School.
Good evening, Dr. Shannon, Dr. Goodwin, members of our board, and also our parent and community partners. I am pleased to announce our Student of the Month here at Southampton. First, we have a young man who could not make it today because he needed to go home. He's a very diligent young man, and his name is Teron Smith. Teron is an 11th grader. He's very, very helpful. He is nice and caring, as his teachers have shared with me, very smart and extremely empathetic because he loves his Southampton High School. Additionally, he loves our family and he really is in love with our school football team because he volunteers as a gentleman that helps our football team out, our coaches, our players. And if you ever seen him at our games, kind of a small guy, but he is large in personality, in stature, and in love. So if you see him helping out with water and towels and things, he probably couldn't make it because I think he went to practice or had a meeting, what he told me, and he wanted just to go home. So that is Teron Smith. But fortunately, we do have a wonderful young lady that's here with us this evening. And this young lady is a leader for us. She's an innovator. She's extremely jolly. She is friendly, caring, helpful, and infectiously bright. Additionally, this young lady, along with our SCA in the 12th grade class, actually decorated my office for Principal Week last week, and I was excited about it, and the decoration's still in my office. So I really wanted to make sure I recognize this young lady, and she is here with us this evening, her family, and that is Carolina Nelson.
Thank you. On behalf of the entire school board, I want to congratulate all the students who were recognized tonight. We appreciate all your hard work. And I also want to thank the parents for all that you do to support Southampton County Public Schools and for giving us the opportunity to work with your students. At this time, I do want us to take about a 5-minute break so that if parents want to leave, you can do so. But I know that Ms. Key likes to take a group picture of the students in the foyer. She's got her hand up. So if the students could make their way to the front for a group picture, we would appreciate that. And we'll take a few minutes break. Of course, parents, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the board meeting if you choose to do so. But if not, thank you again for coming. So we'll take a few minutes for a break.
Oh, thank you.
So at this time, I'd like to continue with that meeting. The Virginia Standards of Quality provide that each school board must require its members to participate annual and high-quality professional development. These activities must include, but are not limited to, things dealing with personnel policies and practice, the evaluation of personnel, curriculum, instruction, use of data and planning, current issues in education. So our board receives this training through services provided by the Virginia School Boards Association. So the VSB Academy hands out awards based on the participation, the amount of participation that board members have engaged in. So at this time, Dr. Shannon, anything you want to add?
Sure. In conjunction with the Virginia School Boards Association, we're pleased to recognize our school board members for their participation in the SBA Academy program. Dr. Goodwin receives the silver pen. Mrs. Denise Bond, thank you. She also receives a silver pen. Mrs. Oris Lane receives a bronze pen. Dr. Jennifer Tyndall receives a certificate of recognition. Mr. Christopher Smith Sr. receives a certificate of recognition. All right, and I received a bronze pen.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the 2024-2025 Exemplar School Recognition Award. Dr. Shannon.
So Miss Street is not with us tonight, but we actually have a formal award. We wanted to recognize Nottoway Elementary School and Miss Street's leadership as well as that of the teachers, parents, and community. And Nottoway Elementary School was chosen by the Virginia Department of Education to be the recipient of the Exemplar Performance Award. This is the top award that the Virginia Department of Education offers. And again, she's not here tonight, I wish she was, but they received the same award last year also. So this is their second year in a row receiving this award. So let's just give a round of applause to the family.
Thank you. We're now moving into the public comment period of our meeting. Although Virginia law does not require us to hold a public comment period, the Southampton County School Board chooses to do so because we believe it's important for us to hear from our community members. We value the input that we receive from the community on issues affecting the education of children in our county. The public comment period is a time for board members to listen to the views and concerns of individuals. Therefore, please do not expect board members to respond to comments or to answer questions during the public comment period. There are some guidelines that we ask speakers to adhere to. One is that in order to speak, persons need to sign up prior to the start of the meeting. The time limit for each individual to speak is 3 minutes. We do have a visible timer to help speakers keep up with the amount of time they have. We do this so that we can have sufficient time for the board to conduct other necessary business and so that we can hear as many members of the public as possible. Speakers may not give or yield their speaking time to other people. Speakers should address their comments to the board, not to the superintendent or other audience members. And we also ask the audience members refrain from comments and demonstrations such as booing, hissing, or clapping. We had 2 people to sign up tonight, and I'll call them up in the order in which they signed up. So the first speaker is my The bills, Dr. Shannon.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Carr is on her way to the podium to talk about our financial matters.
Good evening, all present tonight. I would like to bring your attention to the preliminary expenditure report for the month of October. The local operating budget for fiscal year remains at $36,970,753. Expenditures through October 31st total $7,832,468.60. This leaves us a balance of $29,138,284.40. Please note that as of the date of this report, 21.19% has been expended from the operating budget. The October bill list has been attached to the agenda for the board's approval tonight. Are there any questions?
Any questions, Ms. Carr?
I make a motion that we approve the bills as submitted.
Have a motion by Ms. Bunn, a second by Mr. Scott, that we pay the bills as presented. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Carr? Sorry, I have a question that was not about a bill, so I wanted to wait.
Okay.
I had called last week about the budget, looking for some budget information, and cannot find it on the website. Do you know if the newest budget has been put up on the website?
Yes, if you'll scroll to the very bottom of the website, you'll see a link to the 24-25 budget.
Okay. And in there, what I was really looking for was what I had asked about the last time, that had what the ADM the budget was based on.
Oh, I'm sorry. That budget, that information actually is in your budget book, but the ADM that we budgeted on was 2,334. I think it's like 0.68 or something, but okay, 2,334. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right.
The next item is the overnight field trip request. Dr. Shannon.
Yes, I'm happy to report that Isabella Edwards is a third-year state officer for the Virginia FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, and she's received a prestigious invitation to present at the upcoming Learn to Lead conference in Oklahoma City. This is an all-expense-paid opportunity for Isabella. Mrs. Melissa Edwards serves as the sponsor and requests permission for Isabella to attend the trip and for her to accompany Isabella on behalf of Southampton High School and Virginia. The event again will be held in Oklahoma at the Oklahoma Conference Center, and the trip is scheduled for November 14th through November the 16th.
I make a motion that we approve the trip.
I have a motion by Ms. Bunn, a second by Ms. Hobbs. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Please continue.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next overnight field trip is with DECA, and the DECA leadership team, which is sponsored by Ms. Wanda Bly, is requesting a field trip to Charlotte, North Carolina. The trip is scheduled for November the 15th through November the 17th. The conference will provide valuable learning experiences for our students. The cost for the event is $2,592, and it will be paid in full by the DECA team. Next, we have use of facilities.
Well, let's approve the overnight field trip request for DECA before we move to use of facilities. We have a motion by Ms. Lane. Second. A second by Mr. Rogers. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. So now we're down to use of facilities.
Dr. Goodwin, sorry, Dr. Shannon. I just have a quick question. When the field trips are overnight like that and a student misses a school day, how does that affect their attendance? Like, are they still counted because it's a school trip?
It counts as being present because it's a school trip.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Eric Benson and Charles Cooper From Camp 25, requested use of Riverdale Elementary's gymnasium for AAU basketball practice. This request is from March 13th of 2025 to June 18th of 2025. They would like to practice twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays from 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. The required insurance for the event has been secured, and they are asking that the facility use fee be waived because they are a nonprofit entity.
Say it again. Oh, we have a motion by Mr. Scott, a second by Ms. Lane. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Darnell Lee of the Down the Middle Foundation. He is requesting the use of Southampton High School's football field for football practice sessions. This request is from October 28th through November 20th of 2024. He wants to practice twice per week, Mondays and Wednesdays, from 5:45 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The required insurance has been secured, and he too is asking for a fee waiver because he represents a nonprofit entity.
The application I have is for softball practice. Is that correct?
Yeah, football field for, yes, softball.
I make a motion for approving.
We have a motion by Ms. Bunn, a second by Ms. Lane. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Item F was added to the agenda, and thus the janitorial service contract. Dr. Shannon?
Yes, tonight we have with us a gentleman representing HES. HES is a company that we desire to work with as far as our maintenance and janitorial services are concerned. We put the project out for bid, and all bids were received, and this was the company that we thought was most favorable and will be able to carry out the mission and the vision that we have for our maintenance and janitorial staff. This is indeed a partnership. We're not considering it as outsourcing because of the way that their company is structured and the way in which their company will interact with Southampton County Public Schools personnel. So at this time, I'd like to call Mr. Russell Leboff to the podium so that he could talk a little bit about HES and answer any questions that the board may have.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Shannon, and the leadership of Southampton County Public Schools. Thank you for having us here tonight to talk about what we do and how it might complement what you do. And I do want to thank our veterans, both in your county and nationwide. My father was killed in Vietnam in 1967. My mother raised 3 boys by herself. Now, she didn't do that by herself. Public education helped. We had teachers take us to class, take us to school, coaches take us to practice. So I have a real big soft spot for public education because of what they did for our kids, my family. Let me just tell you about us a little bit. We're headquartered in Knoxville, Tennessee, but we have regional offices throughout Virginia. We actually have 7 key leaders who live between Suffolk and Amelia. Lynchburg. I actually live in Amelia. So you're very well represented here in the state of Virginia. The services that we offer, custodial, facilities maintenance, groundskeeping, and athletic fields. Now, the facilities maintenance would be things like your HVAC, your electrical plumbing, things like that. We're several companies that were combined into one, the oldest being 1972, so our combined companies have been around for quite some time. We're in 28 states. We have over 150 education partners. That includes higher ed. So as an example, Avery University is one of our clients, one of our partners. Some of our Virginia partners, Suffolk, Dinwiddie, Powhatan, Manassas Park, Chesterfield. And then, as Dr. Shannon mentioned, we are different. We are a different type of company. We're not an outsourcing company. When you outsource some type of service, they basically take control of that service. And there's not a lot of interaction between you and them, except they do the service and you pay them a fee. That's not how we do it. We want to work closely with your principals and assistant principals as our liaisons to make sure that you get what you need for a facilities management program. So it's really all about the C's. It's a partnership culture. A lot of people, throw out partnership. Well, it is a partnership, but it's a different culture. So first of all, we've gotta care about the people, because really, if you don't care about the people and you don't respect the people, then money becomes a big problem. Well, we're gonna care about your people. We're gonna care about our people. You also have to stay connected to these individuals. So you can't just put them out in the field and not have anything to do with them after you get them in the field. You've got to stay connected. And our managers who will work in this school system, will stay connected with the individual. They'll be out in the schools. They won't be sitting in an office somewhere. They'll be out in the schools, your schools, working with their team. And then we do a lot of communication. So we meet with the principals and assistant principals on a regular basis. Our management leadership does. We want them to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, and we want them to be involved. The principals and assistant principals, CEO and COO of their schools, they have a lot to do. What we want to do is take this off their plate so they don't have to do the day-to-day stuff, but they're still in control. They're still the CEOs and CEO. And here's the biggest thing, is complacency. Doesn't matter if you're a school division or a football team or a company who does what we do. The moment you get complacent, you suffer. And the quality of what you do goes down, even as a school division. So you can't have complacency. We can go to the next slide. So Dr. Shannon wanted me to explain what we do. So for our proposal to Southampton County Public Schools, we're going to do everything as it relates to custodial and cleaning your schools. There's not anything we won't include. There's not anything we're not going to do. So everything is included. For facilities maintenance, everything is included except for supplies. So as an example, if you have lights out, you would provide the lights and we would replace those lights. If you have a compressor go out on an HVAC unit, you would provide the compressor and we would replace that. We would provide the labor to replace that. Everything else is included. Some of the great things you're going to get out of this program is you're going to get our management. You're going to get very competitive wages that'll keep people. It'll get people and it'll keep people. You're going to get a work order system. So now your assistant principals and principals will get to see when that work order is initiated and when it's finally resolved. So they'll be involved in that quite a bit. All your equipment is going to be repaired, maintained, replaced by us. Asset tagging will be accomplished. You don't have asset tagging right now. We don't really know the assets that you have. So one of our first endeavors will be to go out there, identify all your inventory, all your assets, get it tagged, report what type of condition it is in, what the age is, the condition it's in. We will keep track of that for you, and those will be your records going forward. So with that said, I guess I'll open up the Q&A. Any questions?
Questions, board members?
How will this impact our current folks that we have on staff?
I can address that. First of all, a lot of your programs have been decimated. You had a lot of attrition, both in custodial, but especially in the facilities maintenance ranks. So you don't have a ton of people that would be impacted. But for those individuals that are impacted, we're gonna take very good care of them. All of them are guaranteed a position if they want a position. Nobody's gonna get a pay cut. And then we have a host of benefits. I won't go through all this because it's really a lot of words, a lot of information on that slide. But we have very good benefits that we're going to offer them. And just to give you one example of a benefit that we have something called daily pay. So these individuals, once they've completed a shift, they can go in on a daily basis and get up to 40% of their pay every day. So that's critical and that's important to these folks, and they like that benefit. So I don't have time to go through all the benefits with you. You have copies of this, but if you have specific questions about the benefits or anything I've spoken to up to now, I'd be happy to answer those questions.
So, but I think the question was, would any of our people lose their jobs, right?
No, 100%. Yeah, what I said was 100% of your people would have a job. Absolutely. If they want a job.
Yeah, right.
I have a question. Will your people be over currently listed? I mean, will you be telling them what to do?
We'll be supervising their day-to-day work. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So we have job cards that will show them what they have to do, what they need to do every day in schools, and they will follow those job cards. Very detailed.
My question is, are there any districts that you already serve in our surrounding area?
Suffolk. Yeah, we started the groundskeeping and landscaping. Now, we're not doing groundskeeping and landscaping for Southampton. That's something we could consider down the road. If you like our services, you want to consider that, we can do that as well. But we have a phenomenal program with Suffolk. If you talk to Dr. Gordon over there, he'll confirm that.
How long have you been with them?
Since August. We launched in August. Some of the other accounts that you saw up there that I mentioned, like Palatine, we've been with them 3 to 4 years. Other questions?
Any other questions, board members? Dr. Shannon, what is your recommendation?
I recommend that we enter into an agreement with HES Facilities LLC. This contract is for 5 years. And we've gone through the language of the contract. They have made some modifications to some information that we've asked them to change. And I recommend that we move forward with HES.
When will it start?
As soon as possible. Our target date is December 1. And we think that's not going to be a problem. We've already hired the manager for your program. We're ready to go. We've already got all the equipment. We're ready. So we think December 1 is a very viable date.
So if we're looking at cost-wise, because I'm looking at the annual contract price of $1,800,000 and some change, with a monthly contract price of $150,000, is that on top of the annual contract? Or is that,
no, that is
broken down into the?
Yeah, it's monthly, billed monthly.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
How does that compare with what we would be paying now with our own people?
I think it's pretty close. Yeah, we looked at honestly several contracts, and we took our budget, and when I say our budget, I'm talking everything, all of the expenses, all the personnel, everything. And we found that it's more advantageous for us to go this route than for us to continue to try to maintain the buildings ourselves.
Right, okay.
Any other questions?
And so with the current contract, then any of our current employees that have health insurance through Southampton would then on December 1st transition over or?
Correct.
Insurance.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
December, January, whatever that.
Yes, ma'am. Whatever that date is. Yes, ma'am.
Right.
But there would be no gap in their insurance, correct?
No. So what here's how that would work. We would give them credit for their tenure. So as an example, if our 401k plan requires 90 days working or a year, we're negotiating that now. That's why I'm saying 90 or a year. If they've already been working with you for a year, it ends up being a year requirement for us. They will have already met that because they have tenure with you for a year.
Okay, and I was talking more about health insurance.
Same thing. It's going to work the same way.
Okay.
Yep.
As long as it goes straight from one to the other, there's no gaps, so there's no risk of people going.
That's correct.
Okay.
And also, everybody's guaranteed a position with us. If they want a position, they've just got to complete the paperwork so we can get them in the system. But they have no problems. We have HR people that will come in and help them with that process.
Has this been discussed with any of our current staff that this would be affected?
Say that again.
Has this been discussed with any of our current staff that would be affected by this?
Yes, Mr. Melby met with staff, I think it might have been last week, but we've not had an official meeting because we wanted to wait on the board's approval. So if the board approves it tonight, then we plan to meet with the staff again this week. And we'll also work with this particular company to try to transition everyone as smoothly as possible.
Okay.
Services extend to Central?
Yes.
Yeah, all locations, all sites. Yes, sir.
Even Fresh Start.
And then I'm assuming that for the staff that would be transitioning to you, that in the next week or so, you would send someone would meet with the staff to cover all of their HR issues, health issues?
Oh, absolutely. So we will bring in HR support, and those employees that come in as HR support will sit down, they will meet with every single employee individually. We'll talk about that employee, what they've done with Southampton, what do they want to do. Another thing that's really good about this opportunity is they now have a promotional track with us that they maybe didn't have with you, they couldn't have with you. Because, we've got, 7 other accounts in the state of Virginia. So if they wanted a promotion opportunity, wanted to move into management, they could. They would probably have to move unless they want to suck up, make it have to move. But this does represent promotional opportunities for them. Advancement, career advancement.
What's your typical response time for service or facilities requests?
Well, if it's an emergency, it's within 2 hours. If it's a non-emergency, it's within 24 hours. Or to be determined. Now, if it's a big project, say that you had a flood, we're not going to be able to get that done in 24 hours. But our response time would be immediate, 2 hours.
And does this also cover preventative maintenance?
Absolutely, and that's actually where you're going to save some money. So one of your board members asked about how much it was going to cost. This program is going to actually save you money in the long run. One of the reasons it's going to save you money is because we have a very advanced preventive maintenance program so that your equipment is taken care of so that you don't have a chiller go out. You don't have an HVAC system go out. So long term, this is going to save you money.
With all of the assets being tagged, we'll be able to do reports that will show this is the preventive maintenance that was done on this.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
It'll show everything about that asset. And that will be yours forever. Whether you have us 10 years from now or not, that information will be maintained for you and provided to you if we ever leave.
Other questions? The superintendent is asking for approval.
Make a motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Scott, a second by Mr. Smith, that we enter into a service agreement with AGS to provide janitorial services for Southampton County Public Schools. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
We have one no. Will we do a roll call vote, please? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Dr. Tyndall?
Yes.
Ms. Hobbs? Yes. Mr. Rogers?
No.
Ms. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Bunn?
Yes.
And Goodwin is yes. Okay. So I was correct. So it's one no and 7 yeses. Thank you.
Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We're now down to informational items. So the first informational item is the instructional report. Dr. Shannon.
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Gillette is on the way to the podium to talk about VLA, proximity learning, professional development, Title I, and other items. Thank you, Ms. Gillette.
Thank you. Good evening, happy Monday.
Thank you.
Dr. Goodwin, Dr. Shannon, board members, and all present. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening. Dr. Shannon already talked about our topics. I'm going to jump right in. I continue to give you Virginia Literacy Act updates, call them the VLA. We did, as discussed in the last meeting, we did hold our division-wide leadership committee meeting on November 1st. We looked at the current VLA implementation, any changes that have been made, looking at where we're at so far and the future, where we're headed. We looked at the VDOA recommendations for our division literacy plan, which were very few, and we received great commendations on what we have done so far. They told us they were light recommendations and we really didn't have to change them. We could just look at the future of where they were going because we were in the right direction. So we decided, we looked at the current division literacy plan, we're on the right track. We decided not to make any changes, but if anything comes down from the VDOE before December 6th, when it's due, we'll make those. The new VLA walkthrough observation, it begins next week, And what this entails is the principals at the elementary schools receive these walkthroughs, and they go into the classrooms, and each month the walkthrough is updated to add more things on it. So in the beginning, we just look at, using the HMH resources, using the supplemental materials that are approved by the PDOE, and then as the next walkthrough comes in, we add more onto what we're looking for. So we're easily transitioning our teachers into the VLA. Kindergarten VALS testing is now complete, and all of the student reading plans are complete for kindergarten. We completed the first, second, and third last month, and teachers have begun their flexible group instruction, small group instruction, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we look at professional development. Proximity learning with updates. We did send home conference support letters, support conference letters. They were mailed November 1st for middle school and high school students. And any student that's receiving under 60% will have conferences, and this includes November 11th and 12th for our middle school civics and English 7, and also November 13th for our English 10. And as I mentioned before, how much smoother we are just coming to the virtual learning this year. Very few students are below 60%, and we're very pleased with that. Professional development, we did 2 half days on Friday, November 1st and Monday, November 4th. The Edgenuity training was for the high school and middle school and the administration. We did an hour with the high school, an hour with the middle school, and then an hour with the high school admin and middle school admin. We also had, just as I discussed earlier, the VLA committee meeting, division-wide committee meeting. And also we talked about those flexible groupings that the teachers have started. The reading specialists met with the K-3 teachers at elementary and looked at the VALS assessments and looked at the data to help create those flexible groups for students to make sure that it's individualized and each student is getting what they need. We also had Exact Path, which is something from Edmentum that we are currently paying for, and we had that for 3 through 8 math teachers at Riverdale. And the gentleman that gave us the professional development, he will be back on the 25th and 26th to meet with teachers individually if they need it and see where they are and if students are placed where they need to be. Also, our preschool teachers and their paraprofessionals had class and Streaming 3 training and school review. Title I annual fall parent meetings. This occurred at every one of our elementary schools, and at each meeting, the parents were given the rights as a parent under Every Child Succeeds Act, what it means to be a Title I and school-wide for the state, explaining the student-parent school compact, and they're given their SOLs, and also any assessments that the students are giving, having the teachers are given a copy of that. Also, the school's parent involvement policy and how to locate the school's report card on the VDOE, resources available to parents to help the children at home. And these are some of the pictures I just want to share. And these are the pictures of the compact and what was sent home from each school. And the parent needs to sign it and send it back as part of her Title I. And some more pictures that we had. Kids had a blast. Parents were very involved. We had an excellent turnout. Days to remember. Report cards went home today, actually. COGAT testing will be next week, the 18th to the 22nd. They did the practice testing on Monday, and then do Part A Tuesday, B Wednesday, and then Part C on Thursday, and any makeups we can do on Friday. ASVAB testing will be December 13th, and we'll have CTE testing January 7th through the 10th, 2025. Can you believe we're saying 2025? The non-writing SLLs at the high school and the Algebra 1 at the high school will be January 14th through 23rd, 2025. I know that was a lot in just a few pages. Do we have any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Gillette?
I do. At what point will you all be ready to give us information about the new accreditation system now that the Department of Education has decided that it's going into effect this year.
Yes, and we're looking at that right now as far as looking at the growth assessments and how they're asking us to score them. So as soon as we get that information in stone and concrete, we'll be able to share that with you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I don't know that I caught this last month, but I guess Proximity was a replacement for Virtual Virginia. Can you talk about how we swapped? Is that a swap in platforms? Is that a different system?
It is. Virtual Virginia and Proximity Learning, they are two separate virtual platforms. And we liked Virtual Virginia, and I can't say anything bad about Virtual Virginia. The thing about Virtual Virginia is we wanted to make sure that the maximum amount of teaching time was occurring in the classrooms. And when we looked at Proximity Learning, they gave us the same benefits as Virtual Virginia, and they agreed to teach from bell to bell. It wasn't, I'm going to teach for 30 minutes, I'll be here for 15 minutes if you need help, and then be off for the rest of the time. Proximity teachers are on the entire time. And the virtual coaches that are with them were experienced from last year, so it has been a very smooth transition. And Proximity Learning, we have bi-weekly meetings. But for example, I felt like we needed to meet about a question about one of the books that we had. And so we asked for a meeting, and that's going to be tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So we have scheduled meetings, but we were able to call meetings at any time.
Could I get a copy, Dr. Shannon, of the Virtual Virginia agreement from last year and our Proximity agreement for this year? We've got to have a service agreement for those. I'd like to look at the two of those.
Any other questions for Ms. Gillette?
Could I get an answer?
I said sure, you didn't hear me?
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Any other questions for Ms. Gillette? Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is the Maintenance, Operations, and Transportation Report. Dr. Shannon.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Melvin will come forward and talk a little bit about the bus garage and facilities.
Good evening, Dr. Goodwin, Dr. Shannon, board. Just to go over a few quick things with you. In the maintenance department and in the bus garage, all in-house inspections and routine maintenance continue to take place. We do all of our in-house inspections. Like I said, they're getting done per usual. They are being completed. We continue to use outsourced companies to help us out for those specialty things that we can't do in-house. We did have a fire marshal visit at the end of October, and we had a very good, very positive tour of the division with Mr. Rawlings. I almost said Rogers because his name is Brandon Rawlings. I almost said Brandon Rogers, so I had to stop myself there. And then here is just a quick smattering of work orders that you guys can take a look at your leisure. So it has been a lot going on, but not the everyday work order things. So we've had some bigger, like the compressor you heard was a temporary as we wait for the full-size one to get here. So let's go ahead and close the door on that. Any questions?
Any questions, Mr. Melvin?
Can I make a recommendation?
Pardon me, Ms. Lane?
Can I make a recommendation about
Mm-hmm.
the visitor side of the stadium is built? Can you do something about that?
Yes, ma'am.
As well as the bathrooms, female bathrooms.
Yes, ma'am.
I got reports all out
Understood.
about this.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
You said during your report that the inspections were occurring as normal for our transportation. Who's doing those? Because I got reports from a few folks that said that there wasn't anybody on staff to do it. So just curious about
Mr. Kenny Darden has come back to work part-time after retirement, and he is able to take care of our 45-day inspections in-house with all of our vehicles.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Melvin? Thank you. Student enrollment and student teacher attendance, Dr. Shannon.
Yes, the student enrollment is 2,232, and inclusive of preschool and special education is 2,376 students. The winner of the Student Attendance Award is Capron at 97.31%. And Capron actually won last month as well, so congratulations. And the winner of the Teacher Attendance Award is Meharon at 94.93%. Congratulations.
Fantastic.
Dr. Shannon, I have a question about the student enrollment. That was one of the reasons that I had asked Ms. Carr what our projection was for our budget. And so if our projection, and that would mean the budget was based on revenue from the state for 2,334 students, and we are currently at 2,232 students. According to the state calculator, that puts us in a deficit of almost $1 million. Do we have a plan for what we are going to do if that enrollment continues to fall or does not come back up, as far as where that money will come from?
I'll get Ms. Carr to speak to that because we've been talking about it. Ms. Carr?
Okay, yes, we are aware of the enrollment, and I have run the numbers for the enrollment loss based on projections on what was reported to the state. And what we have, fortunately, when we filed for our remaining ESSER funds, we filed for some of our expenditures in the local operating budget. So we were able to file for some of our teacher salaries, some of our utilities, and some of our fuel costs through the month of September. So the funds that we received in these ESSER funds, about $1.4 million, will go toward, a portion will go toward our school construction projects, and another portion of that we will hold on to help offset our enrollment loss. And so we will continue to monitor our enrollment and our state revenues. We will receive a revised revenue forecast from the state in December, along with the governor's what's called caboose bill, any revisions that they make for the current year. So I will run the numbers again with any with estimated enrollments and see where we stand as far as our state revenue to determine, how much of those ESSER funds that we can afford to put toward the school construction projects.
And so that money is not the money that we were talking about for the Student Health and Education Center and the parent engagement. That's not the same ESSER funds?
Yes, it is the same ESSER funds, but we also have school construction funds that have to be spent this year that we received 2 years ago. That's about around 1.2 million. So I'm hoping that between the combination of those school construction funds and what we can save of the ESSER funds, that we will be able to do our projects. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joy.
Any other questions about enrollment? You do have in your board documents calendars from the schools, so please look at those and attend activities as your schedules will permit. Item F was the Southampton High School football team. Mr. Scott.
Thank you, Dr. Goodwin. Your Southampton football high Indians currently ranked the 10th state. They're tribal district champs. Not even one district game has even been close. Not to toot our own horn, but we have a great group of kids, a great group of coaches, and more than anything, the kids are doing exactly what we asked of them, and it's starting to show. We have a home playoff game here. The first home playoff game in Southampton in probably 18 years. that will be here this Friday. Hopefully we will perform as we've done all year, but we ask that you come out and support these young men because they have brought a certain life back to the county. Even back in the days when I was here, when we were constantly rolling people over, they have that same mentality, so we're hoping to make some noise in our two-way playoffs. So please come out and support your Southampton High football team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Great season. We will have, Mr. Smith, were you about to say something? Okay. We have arranged to have conflict of interest training. The board members do have to participate in conflict of interest training every 2 years. And this year we were able to arrange to have conflict of interest training in person. So that training will be on December the 9th, which is the date of our scheduled December meeting. And we will reach out to the newly elected person on the school board, Ms. King, to ask her to join us for that conflict of interest training on December the 9th. It will be at 5:30. It will be in the library. And this is the training that will be provided by the Virginia Conflict of Interest and Ethics Advisory Council. So they're going to come to us and do in-person training this year concerning the conflict of interest. So please put that on your calendar, and we'll certainly ask Ms. King to join us for that meeting. We talked before about the committee, to reinstate the ad hoc committee, the liaison committee, the school board of supervisors liaison committee, and you should have, they did have that information, right? Do you have information about that in your packet? No. Okay. Well, I will make sure you get it. But that information, I guess I sent it to Ms. Artis earlier, and I forgot to remind her to include it. But during the break, I'll make sure you get the hard copies of what I'm talking about. But we talked about having this ad hoc committee that is a committee that we've had before. It's the joint, we call it the liaison committee. So we would have 2 people from the school board, 2 people from the board of supervisors, as well as the superintendent and the Mr. Thrower, the county administrator. So it'll be 6 people on the committee. We've been talking about this. So I'd really like to appoint that committee tonight. And the members of that committee, Mr. Rogers has been working on this. So Mr. Rogers, would you chair that committee?
Yes.
And Mr. Scott, would you join him? Okay. So our committee members then would be Mr. Rogers and Mr. Scott. And the next step would be to have Dr. Shannon reach out to Mr. Thrower to see if the Board of Supervisors is interested and if they will appoint 2 of their members at their meeting, at their November meeting, and then we will go on from there. So Dr. Shannon, would you reach out to your counterpart to let them know we're interested in reestablishing that committee. The second committee that we need to, ad hoc committee that we need to do is the budget committee. Our practice has been that the vice chair of the board chairs the budget committee. So Ms. Bunn is vice chair of the board. So I asked Ms. Bunn if she would chair the budget committee. And Mr. Smith has experience with budget matters. So Mr. Smith, would you join Ms. Bunn? Okay. So I'll ask Mr. Smith and Ms. Bunn to be members of the budget committee. The budget committee works with the superintendent to draft the budget for the annual budget for the school district. We also work with the superintendent to make sure that we share budget information with constituents. So now we're down to closed session. So pursuant to section 2.2-371181 into the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. The board, upon a motion and a second, will convene on a closed session to discuss personnel appointments, resignations, retirements, and compensation, non-resident student applications, student discipline matters, and student discipline matters reporting format, a legal matter update, a FOIA request update, a Title IX concern. At the conclusion of the closed session, the board will return to this area to take any needed action on matters arising during closed session. So do we have a motion to go into closed session? Have a motion by Ms. Lane, a second by, was that Mr. Smith? That we will go into closed session. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So we will go to the teacher's lounge for the closed session meeting. And then we'll come back here to take any necessary action.
Oh, no, I